So we were talking about value and how God sees value in you,
Right.
and how you were actually feeling the lack of that value, or a certain measure of value.
Right.
What was 2 decades into your walk, your new walk
Mm-hmm.
with God. You have shared a story with me about being at the beach that I think gives some incredible revelation and insight to God's heart for restoring women.
Right.
And perhaps you could share that
Absolutely.
story.
We went back to visit Florida. It was right after going through some of my healing for a lot of the sexual abuse. I wanted to go back to that house that I was raped over and over at and just go, that's not who I am anymore. And really wanted to go in your face, Satan, kind of. Just some of my tenacity. Just some of that empowerment that you don't have that hold on me any longer. And so we did that, and definitely in an emotional state, and there was a storm recently, and I loved going to the beach after a storm. Lived in Florida all my life till I was 30 years old. Loved going to get shells after a beach, because when the storm comes, all the shells come up towards the shore. So we went to the beach, and we decided to go look at the shells. And so we all started together as a family, and of course me and my daughter are taking our time because we were looking at all the pretty little shells. And so my husband and the boys walked ahead, and he goes, you keep looking, we're going to walk ahead, we'll meet back. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I'm looking at shells, and I'm looking at these beautiful broken pieces of conch shells. And I picked it up, and I'm like, God, that's exactly what you do. You take a broken thing and you make it beautiful. And he goes, no, I make you whole. And I'm like, no, this is beautiful, God. You take something broken and you make it beautiful. He goes, no, my desire is to make you whole. And I'm like, fine. Then you show me a whole conch shell. So me and God have this little way of communicating, and I usually throw a temper tantrum. He usually wins. And so I'm like, very well, find me a whole conch shell.
Which is impossible on the beach.
It just doesn't happen.
It just doesn't happen.
You don't find whole conch shells. So I'm like, all right, fine. So we're walking along the beach, and the conch shells are getting a little bit bigger, and my analogy in my head's getting more beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, God, look at this. It goes out into the ocean and gets up against the shore, and you take off the rough edges and you make it smooth. And he's like, nope, I want to make you whole. And I'm like, all right, the shells are getting bigger, but there's no whole conch shells. And so we're having this conversation, and I'm determined that I've got this one right. And so I'm walking along and looking down, looking at all the shells, showing my daughter, and my husband comes up and he goes, babe, and he's got his arms like this, and I look up and just start bawling. He has literally got so many whole conch shells that he can't even hold them. And I just fall apart. I'm like, oh my gosh. He's like, what did I do? I'm like, no, it's good, it's good, it's good. And God's like, see, I told you, I'm going to make you whole. And so my husband's like, if you think that's a big deal, you need to go further on the shore. And so we go further up the shore, and the entire beach is littered with whole conch shells. And I'm like, you're cool, God. You're pretty cool. So it was pretty amazing. What was neat about it was is it dredging?
Dredging.
Mm-hmm. So it's this thing that goes way, way, way out. I don't even understand it. But there's this machine that went way out, and it dug deep, 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 deep down and pulled up these whole conch shells and put it up on the shore. And God, it was him saying, you know what, I'm going to go down to the deepest, darkest and make that whole till the whole you is whole. And I'm like, bring it on.
If that isn't just amazing on all levels.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm feeling as we're telling this. God is just reaching into the depths of individuals. He's going to reach into the depths of our society, of our culture, and take what would be broken and not just polish it up. I think a lot of people think God does. He polishes it up, makes it pretty, takes the bad and turns it to good, but still broken. So to have a total restoration and redemption in the manner you're talking is truly taking all the pieces back together, and you don't even see the cracks or the holes.
It's like he's saying, that settling that I had for his love, it was him saying, Lanie, I'm not settling until you're whole.
Right.
That's not good enough. I want you whole, and I can do that. And that's...
And willing to go into the depths to get it done.
Yeah, and he's not going to leave you in the midst of that. That's where I've come to learn is the safety of God. That even those hard places, those places of healing, he's right there. You know, he can handle the screaming and the crying, and he can handle the "Where were you, God?" questions.
Right.
You know, there were times I said, "Where were you?" You know, and I could keep asking and asking and cussing and screaming, going, "God, where were you?" And you know what? His promise is, keep pursuing me, and I'll give you an answer. And he does, and he did. You know, so it's the crazy thing about God. You keep asking, and he loves to answer. He loves to just make us whole and not settle for good enough, but his best for us.
And you're taking his best for you, and you're translating that into not just one conch shell on the beach, but many conch shells. I mean, you're going after God's heart and going after the rest of the conchs that are in the depths that need to be dredged up and restored.
Yeah, they're worth it. Each one of these ladies are worth every bit of it. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for everything you're doing. I always like to, anytime I talk to a survivor, it's always on my heart to apologize on behalf of all the men for everything you ever went through. And so I would extend an apology to you as well. And so glad to hear the change that's been able to, the miraculous change that's been worked in your life. And tenacity, you used the word earlier. Wow, you certainly do have tenacity. What would you say? There's a lot of women out there that don't have tenacity. Anything that would be different in how to reach out to support?
Yeah, it's finding someone else who does. I think that's the whole thing. That's what Redeeming Joy does. You know, Redeeming Joy is, it's safe for you to be weak. It's safe for you to be in that place of healing, and we're going to wrap our arms around you. I had that. You know, I had a husband. I had a community of people at church that goes, you know, you take the time you need, and you stay right here, and you heal. So we have an innate tenacity, but if you don't have it right now, find somebody that's willing to be tenacious for you.
Yeah, no, you're there.
And just, you know, one of the things that the enemy does is you're alone and nobody understands. And it's a bold-faced lie. You know, there's other people that may not know exactly, but that can be compassionate enough to know, you know what, it's okay. You know, God's going to meet you right where you are, and you're good enough for God to meet you right where you are.
Right.
You don't have to get that pretty conch shell. You don't have to get all those edges smoothed off before he's going to meet you. He goes right where you are.
Well, he will. He'll meet you at the broken piece.
Yeah.
What he showed you is where he's going to take you.
Yeah.
You know, the end result is back whole,
Right.
not just prettied and polished.
Right.
But yeah, so absolutely. I think that, it took you 20 years to come with value, and so I would say
Still
day
working
one.
on it.
Yeah, still working on it. Day one, you didn't think you had much value. So,
I was convinced differently.
God will meet you at the broken piece.
Yeah. Find someone who's going to fight for you.
Right.
You know, and there's people out there that are going to fight for you. So.
Well, incredible story with a very happy ending. Well, happy at the commercial break. The end is nowhere close for you and what you're going to do with Redeeming Joy and Rise Up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Oh, yeah.